What's up, guys? You know what night it is. Actually, I don't even know what night it is. I don't even know where I'm at. I know it's a Wednesday night, which I never really do this on Wednesday. I'm actually at my parents' house here in Tampa, but I'm joined with two of my best friends here in the sports card community. Andy, the Fantasy Football Card Quest, who is my best friend, as well as ZiggyNo, who's one of my oldest friends here in sports cards. And we have a couple things to discuss. We got a big weekend of sports, but nothing is bigger than the NFL draft. So we're going to be going over strategies, what teams are going to, what directions they're going to go in, and how we can strategize our investments based on it. If they pick a quarterback up, if they don't, what does that mean? What players will receive positive value from the moves, and which players and which cards will drop in value based on these decisions. That will be fun. And we'll also talk about ComC and StarStock, two of the best platforms to do this type of day trading. Let's see what else. And then also NFTs. We're not going to talk too much about NFTs, but Trevor Lawrence, the #1 overall projected pick for tomorrow night, released his own NFT through Topps, and that is going for a fortune. So we got to discuss at least how that is going to affect the card market. So before I bring them on, got to do my catchphrase. Welcome back. Now let's get to work. All right. And before I bring on Andy and Ziggy, thank you to everyone who has used my promo code to try Market Movers to see if it's right for you. It does mean a lot to me. So if you want to try it or at least learn more, check out the Market Movers review video I released a few weeks ago, and then click on the link. Again, Comeback20 is the promo code to 20% off for you. And it is an affiliate or a little commission for me, which obviously is a win-win situation. Also, for the 2020 Prism break for 15K subs, that is going to be on May 25th. Utilizing the Whatnot app. They are the sponsor. They are paying for that box of Prism. So I thank them for what they're doing and being able to give it to you guys for free. And more details will come in the near coming days, coming weeks. All right. So let me bring on our guys. Let me start with Andy here because I see Ziggy just hopped on. Andy, what's up, man?
What is going on, man? It's hump day, but it's also the eve before the draft. This is a big draft. I'm excited. I think some of these charts you're talking about in Market Movers, we're going to see spike or maybe go down, man. So I'm excited to be happy to be here. Thanks for having me on. Let's dig in.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Well, I saved you for tonight, knowing that you are the football expert. And as much as I love my Buccaneers, you love all football and fantasy. So we're going to go deep into that with you as well as StarStock. I see Ziggy's on here as well. Let me say hi to a couple of you guys before I bring Ziggy on. Mike C, dude, you're always here. Here's the thing with the delay on StreamYard. I scheduled this for 6 p.m. Pacific time because on the StreamYard program, it defaults to PDT, and I can't change PDT to EST now that I'm in Florida for the night. And so I did it for 6 p.m., and I guess it just doesn't even pick that up. It's kind of like, oh, well, that's nice. We're still going to do 6 p.m. locally, even though it says PDT as the time zone. So I apologize, but definitely this is the time. Raven Interest, I know one of your super fans as well. Good to see you in the chat. Matthew, what's up, man? JJ Bama, of course, is here. Eric Uchimura, what's up, man? It's been a while. Paul, and global sports card investor all the way from Australia. Yeah, let's get to work. And we will definitely be talking about football cards tonight. Ziggy might be able to chime in on basketball cards for you as well. David Hunter, special thanks to David Hunter, who has been contributing to my newsletter as well as yours too. So appreciate you, David. And then let's bring on ZiggyNo. Let's see if we can get him on here. Let's see how this connection is going to be. Hold on, your mic is muted, man. You got to unmute your mic.
How am I coming in now? Sound good?
Perfect, man. How are you doing?
I am doing great. I'm super excited for tonight. Looking forward to this.
And what are you wearing? What's your jersey? I can't see it from here.
It's got the Kareem Hunt.
It's the Kareem Hunt. It's the Kareem Hunt rookie autograph too, guys.
Oh, nice.
I don't know if you can see that. It's a reminder of don't buy running backs.
or you buy them through that really small window, and then you know to flip them before they actually play the game. You know, I'm selling some Saquon Barkley's right now, but that's the thing. I'm selling it now because he was injured, so his floor was already reached at end, career, or not career ending, but season ending injury. Now just a bit of hype or a bit of expectations gets a couple sales going. So let's dive right in. I know the draft is tomorrow night, and so I want to start there because there's a lot of potential trades, a lot of potential picks. I know you follow football very closely, Ziggy, as well. So I just want to start with the question, what do you think is going to happen tomorrow that is not expected, right? We're talking about Trevor Lawrence going number 1, but besides that, what do you guys see happening tomorrow? Andy, let's start with you.
Well, the big question mark that's going to kick everything off is the number 3 pick there, San Francisco 49ers, right? We all know Trevor Lawrence is going number 1. Number 2, the Jets are going to pick Zach Wilson, like almost 95 to 99% probability of that, even though he's not the best prospect on the board. Zach Wilson never really played a really good defense in college, and so his metrics are skewed. But the Jets, in typical Jets fashion, are going to overreach and draft Zach Wilson, whose best comparable player is Johnny Manziel. So I'll let you.
Yeah, that's not good.
So, but there's a high probability that's where Zach Wilson's going to go. He had a really good pro day. He's got a nice, loose, fluid arm. But the number 3 pick at the 49ers, they were originally, they traded up. They had a big trade with the Dolphins to get that number 3 pick, and they're after a QB, right? There's rumors they're going to trade Jimmy G. They're obviously not sold on him or Josh Rosen or any of those other guys they got, and they are definitely going to draft a QB, but who's that QB going to be? They're originally talking about Mac Jones, but he is definitely inferior to Justin Fields and Trey Lance. And Trey Lance has arguably the most college experience under center and being a coach on the field. So that's where the big the first big domino is going to fall there, the 49ers. What do you think about that, Ziggy?
So I feel like I'm watching ESPN because it's all they've been talking about this week is the draft. And all I'm thinking about is how it's going to affect the breaks and how it's going to affect the players. Like, for example, look what happened with the Carolina trading up, right? They moved Bridgewater. Okay, Bridgewater, what happened to his prices on StarStock and ComC? Also, you're right. Garoppolo's going somewhere. Where's he going? So, like, it's funny. It's like pool where these players get hit. It's not really what their impact is. We all know, like you said, we all know the baked-in price on those guys. It's those unknowns that I think is going to be really exciting. I think it's be interesting to see where Trey Lance goes because you said it doesn't sound like he remind. And I'll put it. Here's another funny thing: we all know nothing. We're just as good as we're just wild ass guessing, right? I think he reminds me of Patrick Mahomes, the way he plays, the way he runs. I like him probably the best. He's probably my favorite quarterback besides Lawrence. I do like Trevor Lawrence overall. I don't know why. I'm just in love with Sunshine. I feel bad where he's going, but I love Sunshine.
Well, okay, so here's a good question right here. And the reason I ask is because it doesn't really matter to me which quarterback gets drafted. If it's in the first round, you assume that it's going to be the starter, right? Like Jordan Love would be one of the exceptions. But you assume if you're drafting a quarterback in the first round, he's either going to be the starter this year or he's behind a legend and they're going to be groomed. So the question becomes, it doesn't matter which quarterback gets drafted by the team. What team do you see that either is expected to draft a quarterback, ends up not doing it, or which team should not be in the running for a quarterback actually does it? Because that's where we see a lot of prices of wide receivers and running backs shift because now they're the complementary piece. Go for it. So
I would answer, when I live around the DC area and the buzz is the Redskins are going to make a move to get a quarterback. Right? That Daniel Snyder will put the money. He'll make the trade. They've got some capital. They also got, what's his name? He's going to play. Fitzpatrick's going to play this year. So it's actually a perfect situation to go get a Trey Lance, right? Get one of those guys and pull him in. Don't get the dude from Ohio State. I don't like Ohio State quarterbacks. There isn't a good one. We talked about this before. There isn't a good Ohio State quarterback, I think, since I don't know, the 60s.
Well, so yeah. One of my subscribers, shout out to Wayne Bainbridge, he actually pointed out that Joe Namath was an Ohio State quarterback, and he did pretty well in his NFL career. Yeah, but Namath is an Alabama grad. That's like calling Burrow an Ohio State quarterback because Burrow didn't grad. I mean, come on, that's what Ohio State's good at. Then recruiting,
great quarterbacks to go elsewhere, right? They got Namath and Burrow now.
Well, I liked Taylor Heineke that kind of broke out there in the playoff game against the Bucs, and then they bring in Fitzpatrick, the veteran journeyman. Yeah. Obviously, he's going to be the starter day one this year. If they don't, maybe they don't draft, but they're drafting it at number 19, and they're very close to having an elite defense at this point. You would think. I'm
in DC. That's the buzz that they're going to make the move. They're the surprise to make the move to pick up.
So let's just say, because I like to hear this, because if Washington all of a sudden drafts a quarterback without anyone expecting to, the thought process I have is, who are the top receivers? Just for the buzz, not necessarily that they will get. Yeah, who do they have?
It's Terry. What's his name? Terry
McLaurin. Right. That's right. Okay.
Yeah, Terry. What's his name?
Yeah, Terry. What's his name? And I don't think it's a big impact there actually.
But Washington did make some nice acquisitions. They picked up Curtis Samuel in free agency, who's a speedster from Carolina, and he's definitely got some very low prices on his rookie card. He's a 2017 rookie, so still under the age apex. But your alpha there is going to be Terry McLaurin, and then you also definitely want to look at Logan Thomas at the tight end position as well.
Yep.
Okay, but so even if it's not huge, the fact that if Terry McLaurin, because he had a good year last year, right? I know you were talking to me a lot about Terry McLaurin, Andy, and I don't follow Washington specifically. However, if they go from their current quarterback situation to any rookie in the first round who's expected to start, it's at least a positive direction. You don't think of it as worse. You think of it as it should be an upgrade, which might be enough to take a $50 card to $80 or a $20 card to $40 or something like that. So that could be a sleeper. I also saw here the Patriots. The Patriots are always
this is actually, I like this because let me tell you what, if the Patriots were to move up, whoever that is, their card prices, their rookie prices will be the chosen one, right? Just because he's going in the Patriot system doesn't make a difference who he is. Yeah. If they for example, if they took Tasker in the 3rd or 4th round, I'm buying that player. So if the Patriots take quarterback, I would be interested. Also, think about what's happened to Stidham. What's happened to him? Is he dead?
Well, Stidham. Yeah. Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing. The Jarrett Stidham, he did not play well in the very limited action he got. Yeah. To be fair, neither did Cam Newton or Brian Hoyer or even Tom Brady the year before. Their offensive line and receivers is just so bad. I'm curious to see, like, what would he be like on a team that is actually formidable, like on an offense. So to me, I'm like, he's probably not good, but there's still a chance he's better than what we've seen from him. Now, I don't know what that means, but that's the one thing with New England is, who do they have now? I know they upgraded. They got what were the wide receivers they got?
Well, so New England did pretty well in free agency. They picked up 2 powerhouse tight ends. They picked up Hunter Henry from San Diego. They also picked up Jonnu Smith from Tennessee. And they picked up Nelson Aguilar from Las Vegas. So and Nelson Aguilar had a really good season in Las Vegas. He performed better than Henry Ruggs and all the other wide receivers in Las Vegas. Now, he still had Darren Waller as a target and receiving leader there, but they made some really good moves at wide receiver and tight end. And that kind of leads you to believe that they're going to trade up to get a QB because a rookie QB's best friend is a tight end. You know, a big body tight end that can run the short crossing routes, the short curl routes, also is good at blocking, and you can scheme them into a variety of plays. And with Hunter Henry and Jonnu Smith, I mean, that is a powerhouse duo right there.
Okay, so let me ask you this. So we have, if Washington, I see it this way. Let me have my finger on Terry McLaurin cards. When Washington's on the board, let me have a couple options open, because I know that could be a receiver I could go in and flip maybe very quickly, like within hours, or it could be something before the season, just based on extra media coverage. Same thing with the Patriots. But who is the one receiver of all of them that you would say this would be the one that would gain the most if the Patriots move up and draft a quarterback? Ziggy?
I think you should. I think with Kyle Pitts in this draft, okay, he's going to go somewhere. He's going to get a lot of play. This is going to be the year of tight ends. So watch for tight ends to do well. For example, I got my eye on OJ Howard, right? Coming back to the Bucs under Brady, and you got Gronk there. I also think when you see Kyle Pitts do as well as he is, you're going to go, man, this guy's phenomenal. And you're going to look at these other guys. Travis Kelce. You're gonna look at the vets and go, they're undervalued too. So I think this could be a year that's gonna be some movement on tight ends. Tight ends also
in terms of cards. In terms of cards, you're saying.
Yeah, so yeah, I would look at some of the tight end cards. OJ Howard would be one. I think again, and that's just because Kyle Pitts is going to go somewhere early in the draft. He's going to go somewhere. He's going to probably he could be offensive player of the year. Expectations are high. I mean, a lot of people are calling him the second best player in the draft overall.
Yeah,
so.
let's talk about this for a second, because after that third pick, you have the Atlanta Falcons at pick number 4, and you guarantee that the Atlanta Falcons are in one of the worst salary cap positions in the entire league. And that's why rumors have been swirling. They're going to trade Julio, and Atlanta Falcons have their eye on Kyle Pitts because Matt Ryan's contract has been restructured. It's given them a little bit of flexibility, but they have no other quarterback on their depth chart, which is like that's a scary position to be in. I know Matt Ryan's been pretty rock solid, but no other quarterback on their depth chart, and they don't have hardly any salary cap space. So I'm smelling the fact that, New England makes some kind of trade with the Atlanta Falcons, or maybe Washington, or maybe Indianapolis, or one of these other teams that are later down the draft board. But if not, the Falcons are right now projected to take Kyle Pitts. He is one of those, unicorn type offensive players, and that would definitely have a big impact on Matt Ryan's rookie cards. They're pretty cheap right now for all intents and purposes.
So, well, I mean, they should be cheap. Well, okay. So, for example, Atlanta, if you could have your finger on Atlanta at Matt Ryan rookie cards, and the second Atlanta does not pull the trigger on a quarterback, that could be a good sign that they are confident with Matt Ryan for at least this upcoming year. Now, anything could happen in free agency or trades or second round or third round. I'd say after the first 2 rounds, though, it's like, all right, if it goes to the second round, more than likely you're not talking about someone that is going to compete with Matt Ryan this year, in my opinion.
Who's 5th overall, Andy?
That's the Bengals.
Okay, and then you got the Carolina who just moved up.
Yeah, and so you got a couple unicorn offensive players. Jamar Chase, the wide receiver, one there out of LSU, who was very involved in Joe Burrow's legendary run in 2019 with LSU. And so there's a big talk about reuniting Joe Burrow with Jamar Chase, which is definitely, Joe Burrow's cards are already gone up the last several weeks. Positive news about his injury recovery, and also just on hype that they're going to draft, this unicorn offensive player in Jamar Chase. But I mean, going back to the Falcons at that number 4 pick, because you have 5 really good quarterbacks in this draft. And if the first 3 quarterbacks, we know pick 1, 2, and 3 are going to be quarterbacks, no doubt about it. Number 4 is kind of up in the air. It's like, because the Falcons could pivot. They could take, like, if the San Francisco 49ers,
is that my
Yep.
What's that, Ziggy?
Oh, I had a little glitch. I think that was me.
Oh,
Good.
Dustin just joins. He might be hacking my internet.
Yeah, I mean, it's just the association is enough.
I saw him make a comment, so I think
Dude, he's a virus, man. He's just like a virus that, like, I put Dustin in, all the ones and zeros kind of throws off all of our internets. Okay, so that's interesting. So the first couple of picks, what are you seeing? Anything in around the 10 to 15 or 20 pick range? Because I think that's where it gets very uncertain, because you have like one domino that does not fall according to plan in the top 3 or 4 picks, and then a trade, and then all of a sudden it goes wild. Anything later in the first round that just intrigues you, Ziggy?
So what I love about this to me is the Zion year for football. Okay. There's such a deep class here. Okay. You've got so many receivers. You got the tight ends. You're probably going to have, like you said, 5 first-round quarterbacks, but you probably have another 3 or 4 late-round quarterbacks, right? So to me, this is just going to be fun. Like, there's some receivers that I will probably, I'll say weekly trade the players, the wide receivers and stuff, to get better positions than the quarterbacks. But I'll be chasing quarterbacks. Like I said, I like the dude Trey. I like Lawrence. Those are the guys I'll be focusing on. And if I get other, rookie quarterbacks, I'm definitely holding those. This is gonna be a fun year. It's also gonna be a fun year for Sealed. Sealed Wax will be fun this year because of this class.
Yeah, because it's QB rate. I don't think there's going to be more than these 5 quarterbacks that go in the first round, just because there's a lot of needs, and you got some really, Like you said, really good wide receivers in this class. Not as many as 2020 though. This class overall in skill position is not nearly as good as 2020. 2020 class is still way better.
Okay, so we got this figured out. We have Washington perhaps drafting a quarterback, New England perhaps drafting a quarterback, Atlanta perhaps not drafting a quarterback, and so at least we know which
Carolina
direction to go based on that. Any other teams, Ziggy?
See, those guys would have to trade up. And then look at the Panthers. They just traded away Teddy Bridgewater to the Denver Broncos for a 6th-round pick. Now the Panthers are stuck with Sam Darnold as their guy. I don't think they're sold on Sam Darnold.
Stuck with? I think they
stuck with him. Yeah, they're stuck with him.
Okay, so let's on that note, let me ask you this. Who do you feel bad for in the draft? Like, what quarterback's going to have their career ended? Is it the dude going to the Jets? Is his career dead there? Doesn't that make a difference?
Well, I mean, if it's Zach
history.
Wilson, I think that the Jets are. I mean, the Jets, I feel like, are going to make a bad decision.
But
that say that because they continue to do that, right? I mean, is Lawrence going to change Jacksonville? Does he make them a contender in 3 years?
Well, I would say with Urban Meyer, that combination is a pretty drastic change. One player with the same old coach and manager and all that is tough, but at least you have a new successful quarterback or coach and the top quarterback. At least that's a big power shift in terms of like the leverage within an organization. But Jacksonville is one of those organizations you're like, you guys are just doing things wrong historically. Like there's something about your organization that just does not work. I did want to ask though, if we have all the quarterbacks sorted out and the teams that could do it, what's the one or two wide receivers or skill positions that could really boost a quarterback's value because they are that much of a difference maker? So I want to ask you, Andy, anyone that comes to mind first.
Well, yeah, of course it's Kyle Pitts. If he goes to Atlanta at number 4, that's going to be huge for Matt Ryan. And then if Jamar Chase goes number 5 to the Bengals, that's going to be huge for Joe Burrow. And I think just based on rumors alone of that Jamar Chase selection, which the Bengals like to make those splash plays instead of investing in really good offensive linemen, like Penei Sewell will be there. And this dude is like Tristan Wirfs last year. He's the number 1 ranked offensive lineman in this draft class. He's a massive guy from Oregon. And that's who they should be drafting, but they're going to make the splash play most likely with the Jamar Chase, and that's great. That's going to help Joe Burrow's rookie card. I don't know if that's, it's not going to help protect his knee, during the season, but that's another story.
I would say I would look for where you have the young rookies being matched up with playmakers. If Matt Ryan gets Kyle Pitts, I'm not that excited about Matt Ryan. I just not. I'm done on Matt Ryan. He's old. He's maybe he gets another run. I don't know. I just have no interest in him. But you're right. If Burrow or let's say Daniel Jones and the Giants, if he were to get a good receiver, or let's say the Cleveland Browns get a receiver, look for those last few year quarterbacks. If they get a good receiver in the draft or a playmaker, I would look for that card to move.
Well, you bring a good point. So the Dolphins at number 6, drafting right after the Bengals with their 2020 rookie quarterback in Tua Tagovailoa, Brad. There's a good chance that they pick Penei Sewell, right, which is going to significantly help protect Tua, and they've got some weapons. They've added Will Fuller, so that's going to, Will Fuller's prices have gone up a little bit, but I mean, look at what Will Fuller's track record. He got popped for PEDs last year. The years prior to that, he's been injured every year with soft tissue injuries. So if the Bengals decide to draft the offensive lineman there, Penei Sewell, and then Jamar Chase goes to the Dolphins, well, Tua's rookie card prices are going to go through the roof. I think they're going to go up either way based on hype alone, but they could go through the roof or Kyle Pitts lands to the Dolphins because Atlanta goes QB or trades back with New England, so New England can get that number 4 pick, or Washington get that number 4 pick so they can get Justin Fields. Then they pick Kyle Pitts. That's going to be huge for Tua. So I think either way, Tua is going to come out a winner in this draft, and his card prices are still probably about 60% of what Joe Burrow's are. So you look at a Joe Burrow base rated rookie right now on StarStock is trading around to $55, and Tua's is trading around $30. And that's a StarStock A. And I think Tua's is going to go up significantly regardless of who they pick in that first round. It's going to be a win for him.
Mm. Well, the one thing that I heard that actually intrigues me a bit is drafting the offensive lineman versus the flashy wide receiver, which makes me think if a team with a young, let's say Joe Burrow, they draft the best wide receiver available. I think that is a lot of hype, right? That's a lot of hype. Top quarterback, top wide receiver. This is going to be amazing. However, drafting the offensive lineman, that's really more important, that has very little sex appeal, is the thing that might actually lead to more wins overall throughout a year, because you have a stacked offensive line and the wide receiver, the mediocre wide receiver, could actually have time to get open. You don't need a ridiculous wide receiver to get open in a split second before the defense attacks the quarterback. So it makes me almost think that to buy and flip the quarterback that gets the flashy wide receiver makes more sense, but then the quarterback that gets an offensive lineman in 2 out of the top 4 draft rounds might be that sleeper that really they have a much better offense than what it seems like, because there's really no excitement around offensive linemen. But like what we saw with Tom Brady and the Bucs, Tristan Wirfs, very few people know his name, but he could have been rookie, like among rookie of the years. I think he allowed 1 sack all year or something like that. And he was pivotal. And I think he's protecting Tom Brady's blind side, which at age 43 is huge. So it's one of those things where I'm like, well, look for the quarterback that gets the most protection help to perhaps have their prices not go through the roof from the draft, but perhaps have a better year compared to the one that gets all the flashy players, but their offensive line is still mediocre at best, and we don't even know if the quarterback's going to be healthy throughout the year based on how lousy the offensive line is.
Well, say what I would add to what you just said there, when you're evaluating, look at the time and the age of the quarterback, right? Because what you said makes a lot of sense on that, if they were to take an offensive line versus a flashy receiver. But if it's a Matt Ryan, I'm less impressed on Matt Ryan's price than I am on a Burrow. Because if I'm in a Burrow, I can be in a Burrow for this year to make money, and I could be in a Burrow for 3 years to make money, right? So I'm long and takes an offensive lineman. I'm happy, and I'm thinking long-term he's going to have a better career. If I'm thinking flashy and I want to flip him this year, you're right. They take a receiver, he starts throwing the ball around, but gets banged up. He might not make the whole season, but I could probably sell and make a profit. So take the quarterback and their age into consideration. That's why what's exciting is we've had several years of good quarterback classes. I mean, if you're going back to even Dak's class, there's been like 3 or 4 first-round quarterbacks that are all coming to some maturity this year. So it's going to be fun in the hobby.
Yeah, absolutely. And talk about fun in the hobby. Trevor Lawrence has his 1-of-1 NFT, which you sent me, Ziggy. And do you know what the auction ended at or what it's up to right now?
Yes, I do. So it did close today. I'm around $222,000. $222,000. And it was actually what's really great. It came in as an 83. What's that E word? Ethereum. 83 Ethereum, and one Ethereum is worth $2,600. This was also done on the MetaMask platform, which is the same platform Gary Vee's launching his NFTs on next week. But I just want to point out that sale to Trevor Lawrence is the second highest sports NFT that I'm aware of, second only to the LeBron James. That sold on Golden Auction around 300,000. So that's a huge deal. And here's a couple things it says. I don't care about NFTs, right? Or I do, because you can see I'm actually launching a channel on that. But if you don't like NFTs,
in your name.
Right? Even if you don't like NFTs, you have to be aware of what Lawrence's impact is right now in this hobby. Because what's cool is Topps went out and signed him. Okay. And they didn't sign him. They signed him, his brother, and his sister to do this artist collection set. And those cards sold out, bam. And on the secondary market, they're selling for 4 or 5x because you can get a Lawrence auto in them, right? Even Leaf did a pro set with Lawrence, right? Everybody's been taking an angle on how to get a piece of Lawrence. And now Topps puts out this big NFT. Man, I was blown away by the sale.
I mean, to me, I'm like, look, I would never do it because I'm way too risk averse. But that's even his rookie cards, because I'm like, look,
yes, Doja's right. Sorry.
The thing is, I don't know how good he's going to be. I know how good he's supposed to be, but anything can happen between now and 20 years from now, right? I mean, so like Patrick Mahomes wasn't supposed to be as good as he is. Neither was Tom Brady, and maybe Peyton Manning was, but wasn't Andrew Luck up there too in terms of hype when he was drafted? And Andrew Luck was a solid quarterback, but he was not legendary. He had injuries and he never got over the hump. So I'm like,
offensive line.
Right, but that's a great point. Offensive line, well, but that's a lot. I mean, you need 10 other players to be great alongside you on the field. So to me, what is the play with a $222,000 NFT? Is that a quick flip? And more importantly, I want to tie this into cards in terms of, is this taking money away from cards, or is this kind of bridging the gap where people can say, well, if that's so much, then I might as well buy rookie cards of him because that makes more sense, or I know it to be around for a lot longer. And if people are spending so much money here, then I can justify a $5,000 rookie card of him.
Well, let me just make a comment that Dojo pointed out. There was a physical card tied to the NFT. So you got an autographed Topps Chrome of Trevor Lawrence. That in itself will hold a lot of value. Could be graded, could be beautiful. And what they also did, they dropped 5 other NFTs as well. And if you collected all 5 of those, you got some physical cards as well. So they did tie in physical cards with physical autographs with these NFTs, which again, I would say is genius, right? Because you don't have to like the NFT or not. And let me just say this on the NFT market space. I'm not a financial advisor, okay? But I've watched 2 sports come and blow up, okay? UFC's next, and I don't even think of it in the same category as all the major sports. It's probably going to blow up as well. But when the NFL gets in this, guys, you got to get in. Even if you're blind, just get in, buy packs, and sit on them, and don't know what you're doing. But it is going to be big because a lot of people look at this as it's their first, right? It's the first Mike Trout licensed Topps NFT. It's the first LeBron James moment. It's the first Trevor. You know what I'm saying? That is. It's got some. I don't know. And if the crypto world, I would say, Brad, it is taking away money from sports cards. Yes, because in my own life, my own budget, I spent more money on NFTs than I have in sports cards, and I actually sold some sports cards to buy more NFTs.
Well, okay, so this was the question, or this was the angle I was taking. Are NFTs taking away money from people that are in cards, or are people that are not in cards getting into NFTs and then saying, well, if I'm in this, I can also be in these other things? Because now this is introducing me to alternative assets as a whole, which is now like, I don't know the numbers. That's what we're like, what makes more sense?
Let me answer this too. So in my opinion, in both NBA Top Shot and in the Major League Baseball, the collectors are not the ones in there first. It was the cryptocurrency geeks got in there first because they understood the system. They understood the coins and stuff behind it. Okay. So there's so much opportunity where people just don't grasp what's going on. Okay. Second part of your question, I forget what it was.
Well, it was just, I don't know if there's 2 parts. It was just a matter of, are people getting into NFTs from not being in anything, which is going to cross over to cards, or is it just taking people from card money and moving that over? So I don't know the answer. I was just wondering what your thoughts are.
Let me be fair. In honesty, okay, in my little world, I'm not buying and selling little, but I bought some NFTs. I made enough money where I sold some, and I stole some sports cards, but I also bought more sports cards. So I think the nice thing is if you're in NFTs, they're funding the ability where you make enough money where you can take some out and do other things, right? So maybe I'm not taking money away. I'm redirecting it. I'm seeing faster ways where I can multiply it, right? Where I can't grade cards like I used to anymore. I can't flip raw. I can't maybe find retail like I used to. But in NFTs, just by watching Top Shot, I used to know if you buy a pack if you make a Top Shot drop and you buy a pack, you could flip it on eBay for 10x, 8x blind. Okay.
Well, so I mean,
in the NFT market.
Andy, do you have any interest in NFL NFTs?
If I can get in early enough and I'm not spending an arm and a leg, I feel comfortable flipping it. But I'm serious. Like I would not try and hold it. I do not feel comfortable holding it long term. I'd want to get it and flip it for 100, 200, 300% profit and get out. Take my money and put that back into physical sports cards.
Yeah, it's funny about you mentioning that. I said to myself, like, Yeah, there are a couple moments that I thought would be cool to buy, but I would have to be that first wave to get in. I would have to be so early that I feel like the upside for just a couple months is well worth it, and it's very low. Like I'll pay retail. It's like going to the store and buying retail boxes. I will pay retail boxes there. I'm not going to pay aftermarket 3x, 4x. If I can get in very early and get what I want and sit on it and then get that profit and get out and then wait for that bubble to burst and settle down and all that, that's fine. But
let me just clarify something too. There's a misperception, because in the Top Shot world, you had to get in early, because if you didn't make the drop, you pretty much didn't get the pack. Okay, what the MLB did is that you didn't make the drop, you can buy the packs immediately. Yes, they're going to have an aftermarket, but you still have access to them, and you're still going to see an acceleration on them. Okay, so I'll just say that. And you both are aware, I don't want to go down the NFT talk too much, but I'll just say this. You both are aware, and I'll remind you when NFL does NFTs. So if in 6 months from now you're just watching again, I'm gonna laugh, okay? I'm gonna tickle you guys. I'm just gonna poke you, okay?
Figuratively.
I will be the guy in the corner going, remember I told you.
I'll call Deshaun Watson on you.
And I'm fine with you flipping them, Andy. I totally agree with you, man. I'm not against you. Do what you want to do, but I'm just saying when this boat comes by, and the hard thing will be is getting access, because here's the thing: and you look in the chat, and most people are against it. A majority of people, even though there's money in the gold in those hills, they're against it. And I'm not trying to talk people into it either. I don't want more people competing against me. I'm telling you two as friends, you should pay attention to NFTs. Everybody else, do not do NFTs.
Well, I mean, like for me, it's a matter of, look, I have no idea what to expect, but if I'm early and I could see what happened with NBA, then at least, and everything else, I could at least say, all right, it's worth throwing $2,000 into, and I'm willing to lose it all. But I feel like more than likely, if I'm in early, and I believe I'm in early, maybe that 2,000 can grow to 4,000 or 6, or like Vegas finds. I think he retired and has a private island in the British Virgin Isles from $6,000 he invested, and then has like 2.6 million from it or whatever. I mean, I'm just exaggerating, but Vegas finds
$2,000 either. I would say just do a few dollars. $2,000. Boy, you are big budget.
But it's
a little investment.
Right. It's all relative to the amount I'm investing as a whole. So that would be more of my high risk, high reward percentage, but I'm also putting in a lot, and I'm spreading it over pretty safe investments in order to be able to feel good about $2,000 perhaps going down the drain. So, but it's one of those things where I'm like, even with the Trevor Lawrence NFT, that sounds like a lot of money, $222,000 for it. But for someone that has $10 million invested in alternative assets and $100 million invested in real estate, this is his like buying a rookie card for $300. This is his little 1%, 0.5% thing, maybe 5%, but it's crazy to us because it's all relative. But for whoever's buying it, hopefully they have $10 million in much safer investments. Any thoughts, Andy?
Well, yeah, I mean, I agree with you. Yeah, diversify. Like I mean, even if I were Ziggy, and hey, you could very well be right. I think there's a high probability that you're right. It feels very risky to me at this point in the game. I mean, look at the issues that Top Shot is having on the back end, the technical issues.
I'll tell you,
so.
Sports cards, though, again, think of it this way: if to your friends who don't know sports cards seem risky to them. Right, but you've been educated on it, and you can understand. And I'll tell you what. Here's what I like: NFTs. You can really geek out on, because you can see how many packs are available. You can see how many hits are out there. You have total visibility. A lot of the hobby is based on perception and mystery. Right, we're paying $150 for a blaster box because we can't find many of them. But reality is, there's a warehouse the size of where they put the Lost Ark full of blaster boxes, dude. You know what I'm saying? Those aren't rare. There's nothing rare about them. And if we knew that, we'd be disgusted probably. And that's the thing about NFTs. You can see visibly. You can see how many LeBrons are. And there's no lying about it. It's on the blockchain, right? And you can see how much someone paid for it. There's no scamming me. Hey, man, if my friend bought one for $1,000, well, that wasn't a real bid. He canceled it. No, it was on the blockchain. That's some cool stuff that I think, especially for the younger collector. And here's another thing, guys. Think about this too. This is global, which means anybody in the world potentially, and there are laws, but potentially has access to it. It's not the same case with sports cards. As we know, our Canadian friends don't get the same stuff we do down here in the United States, right? Our Australian friends don't get the same stuff we get here. So this gives everybody an access to one type of, collectible, which is pretty cool.
And there's a lot of pain points. I want to transition over to ComC and StarStock because in terms of pain points for collectors and investors, I feel bad if you're not in the US and you want to be in this hobby, because the amount of obstacles to get cards and customs and time delays and all this is insane. And then you have websites like ComC and StarStock that, because it's not an NFT, but it's actually kind of close in the way it's operating, so that it is remote and it is backed by a physical good, but you don't have to take possession of it. And I know you guys are very familiar with StarStock. Every time I use the website, it looks like it has like 6 new features and new things going on. Andy, I know that's your #1 platform. So last time we spoke, I don't know when that was on StarStock, but I am having Scott Greenberg come on next week on the 4th of May. So that should be happening. So I definitely want to get more and more familiar with what StarStock's doing, because I hear new investors, new money, new features, everything. What's going on over there for you?
Oh, dude, it's incredible, man. They keep making improvements that are very, very beneficial to us sports card investors and flippers. First thing, they added vintage, and they've kept their rookie card theme, but you can now send in rookie cards of vintage players. And when they consider vintage is anybody that's retired, right? So, Peyton Manning, even though his rookie card's in 98, that's considered vintage on here. But you can send in his rookie card. And I think that's an incredible addition there. They've added a 25-cent per raw card submission fee, but I think that's very, very reasonable and justifiable for everything that they do offer. Their collection tools now are incredible. You're able to get a glance at your entire portfolio, what your estimated return on investment is on your entire portfolio in a glance, and look at different timeframes on that. You can also then export your entire collection and sales history of your collection into an Excel format that has every bit of information that you would ever want, including the serial number of the card, the set, the player, when you bought it, how much you paid for it, when you sold it, how many days you held the card, whether you sent it in or whether you bought it on the platform. I mean, there's so much information that they now give you at your fingertips to be able to detect trends and just, I mean, anything you want really there in your collection. It's incredible. So I love the improvements they've made. And their turnaround time, I know, has been backed up a little bit, and that's been like that since the beginning of the year. They now have over 1 million cards on their website. I can remember just 4 or 5 months ago it was like 250,000. So they're working.
Is there anything that you're doing differently now? Because I know you spend a lot of time there. Based on what they have on the platform, are you looking into vintage, or are you using any of their tools differently, or is it just like you're in your zone and you're getting acclimated to the new stuff?
Well, I love to be able to look at my collection and share it publicly. So now I've been able to share my collection publicly with all the guys, and they can see what I'm buying and selling by going to my public URL. And then I've also just like really been hammering any StarStock Bs that I find, because the general consensus is that 60% of the raw cards that you submit are going to get a StarStock B. It's almost like the PSA 9 versus a PSA 10, right? So anytime I find a StarStock B that's like 3 or 4 times lower than what the A is, I'm buying that card, just stockpiling. I don't know if I'm going to receive it home just yet. I'm kind of waiting to see what the StarStock market does over time. But those are some little things that I've tweaked, but still, hammering those underpriced. Like just today, I was buying Deebo Samuel underpriced. I was buying Calvin Ridley underpriced. Just some skill position players that I think are going to benefit from this draft.
Real quick, have you noticed any difference in sales or prices based on PSA suspension, as in for raw cards? Because I know you deal a lot with raw cards, and I do as well on ComC. And I'll just say on ComC, I feel like it's been very slow for the most part, and I don't know how much of that is based on people not looking to buy raw cards to take off the platform because of grading being suspended, and how much of it is just time, NFTs, NBA playoffs, other things going on?
So I've definitely seen a dip, and I would say for me on StarStock, I echo everything Andy said. I love the platform. They've made some phenomenal improvements, man. I mean, it's if you're not using StarStock, I really think you need to, right? What has happened for me, it's definitely changed my focus on what I'm submitting. Now with their 25 cents, I used to just dump all my rookies there. I won't lie, okay? I was one of the guys who just sent them all in, which is good in the sense, like I have a bunch of Bowman prospects now that are showing up as valuable that I sent in there back in the fall, right? They were free. When I think back, I basically got about $500 of free processing because they didn't charge me for the cards I've sent in the past. I use the platform mainly to sell raw. But what I've been doing still is I'm sending them up in bulk, and then I'm sorting through. If I get I sent up a bunch of Kobe Whites out of 10 of them, I think 8 came in Bs, 2 were As. So the 8 Bs, I'm probably going to sell off, and then I would upgrade and get a couple As. Now, I was going to grade them from them directly. Now that their grading is suspended and Kobe White's not doing very well, I'm holding them there. A few of the guys, I will say, another thing I'm doing, I recommend is that I ship 5 cards back for $5, right? So I've been putting in a few withdrawals of a few cards every now and then. And this way I also have kind of a pipeline, right? I got kind of a mail day pop up every now and then because I know they're backed up. I'm still waiting on mail from them. But when it happens, so maybe every 3 weeks I go through there and I say, I'm going to take these 5 cards home. Sometimes they're slab cards, right? I go chase. Maybe I'll buy a PSA 9. I got a PSA 9 Zion I bought. So I'll buy that, send it home with that package. So I'm doing that. That also, one thing I would say that is a negative of StarStock is that when the cards are with them, they're in their control, right? So I can't, for example, there's a guy, Jazz Chisholm, his Bowman prospect. He blew up apparently on eBay. His card's selling in the 300s. I have 2 PSA 9s on the platform, and I can't get anybody to offer me more than $70 on it. But if I had those at home, I could put them on eBay, right? So I do think about that too.
I mean, honestly, that's the one reason I love the versatility of eBay and the versatility of ComC, because I want dual listings, and that's why I'll list cards on eBay, but I actually plan on selling here in LA when I go back to LA. That I plan on selling. So for me, I like the ability to tap into more of the audience, where if I'm on ComC and I have a card there, a lot of them sell on eBay anyway through ComC's store. But in terms of a graded card, I want to list it on eBay, but also have it in my possession to sell locally and avoid the fees and the taxes and whatnot that can be dealt with under the table. So that's the one thing I'm worried about with StarStock. It has to be a StarStock user buying it. It has to be. And the other thing too is if I'm going to send in a card, I want it to be an A, because if I can get a B, if it's a B on StarStock, it might sell for more on ComC with it being tied to eBay as well. And even with an extra 5% fee and 10% fee, it might be all right, well, if it's an extra $6 or $8, just because maybe the card, it should be a StarStock B, but it just looks really good on ComC, and it looks like a great card, but it just fell short of StarStock A. And because it's kind of like a PSA 10 versus a PSA 9, the difference in price is huge. One little thing, one hairline decision, it goes up to a 10, your card's worth 3 times more or so than the PSA 9. And it could be one tiny thing. It could go either way, and it just decides to go down instead of up. And that's how it is. But
you're absolutely right.
Be hesitant.
The StarStock grading system is punishing, where if you get a B or C, your raw price is better on any market. Now that's kind of sad, because the reality is that means I can take all the B's and C's off StarStock and I can sell them on eBay and I'll make more money, or I can sell them on ComC where they're going to say there's some notes, but again, it's just, I don't know, it's frustrating that you can play the game going back and forth. But what I did do is I bought some Kevin Durant of his, I think it was his white rookies, right? Some StarStock C's, or maybe they were B. I think they were C's, and I sent them off to get graded. My goal there is if they come back a 7, I'm happy with a PSA 7 on that card. I mean, I know that sounds crazy, but that's when I'm not, because I think I bought them for $30 or $40, and then I'm in for the grading. So there are some deals out there on StarStock that you can go after, and there's, like I said, you can move cards around. Like another thing I'm wondering, has anybody ever tried to send from ComC directly to their StarStock account, or can you send from StarStock directly to have your ship address be, hey, to ComC? Would they allow that?
Well,
You can have it sent from ComC or eBay directly to StarStock.
That's
see,
nice.
I should try
That's
that.
great. Yeah. Real quick, shout out to Joey. I appreciate the $10 super chat. We are all excited for the NFL draft. Even Bucks fans who don't really need it, we are still excited because we signed Antonio Brown. So we pretty much like mortgaged our future, pretty much like how America just like mortgages its future to live in the present. That's what the Bucks have done, where the salary cap situation after this year is going to be a nightmare. But if we can win one more, it's totally worth it.
But
Real quick, while I'm here, though, I wanted to show a couple things that I found in my childhood room that I thought you guys might find cool. If there are any hockey fans out there, this is NHL 2K5 unopened, and I bought it because of Marty St. Louis on the cover. I'm a Tampa Bay Lightning fan, but 2K5, so that's interesting.
How you never opened that? I have no clue.
Dude, well,
I would have kicked your ass.
Well, here's why. The 2K NHL games for PlayStation was $20 because I think this is when EA was really dominating everything, and so 2K had to come in with like really cheap prices to get people to start playing, and now 2K actually does a really good job with their NBA product. Second thing, when the Bucks won the first Super Bowl, Sports Illustrated, it's a rout against the Raiders.
Right,
and then I got this right here with Warren Sapp and John Gruden still in the wrapper there, untouched.
Nice.
And then lastly, I think y'all would like this. Check this out. My binder of Buccaneer cards with I think this is 1999 Buccaneer team signed by Tony Dungy.
I see that.
Oh, dude.
That's jealous.
Cool. So that's Tony Dungy, and then inside I got all of these worthless cards.
Was that when you were a little kid? Did you get that sign when you were a little kid?
I did, and I don't know where that was at, but so that's I got awesome. All sorts of Buccaneer cards. Warwick Dunn is here. I got Mike Allstott, Keyshawn Johnson, and then like no-name guys like Jaquez Green. You remember Jaquez Green? He lasted like 2 years.
Oh, yeah.
Little guy from Florida. Yeah. So it's cool coming back home and seeing
Jaquez Green.
Here.
Yeah, it's like Jalen Waddle going in the draft this year.
Oh, Jaquez Green was like him?
Yeah, man.
Little speedster. Yeah. So, but anyway, so I wanted to talk a bit about ComC versus StarStock because I'm having Scott on. Has anything changed with you guys with those platforms? Because I know, Ziggy, you were on ComC as well, but it looks like you're mostly StarStock now, especially with the draft coming up and a lot of activity. I think StarStock would be the more natural platform for that kind of activity.
I mean, in reality, there's the same platform. I mean, there's like, and that's what I think is kind of bizarre. Like, I think ComC has like, they do the same thing. They just don't market it the same way. They could easily create a rookie section, and create the whole thing. They just choose not to. And that's why I use both platforms. Both are very valuable to have. You have to check both because you'll find people sleep on one and the other. Also, you'll find more obscure stuff on ComC too, right? So let's say I see some player move. If I check StarStock, I'm only going to see his prism, his optics, and like that. If I go over to ComC, I'm going to see his illusions and his certified and all the other garbage that's out there. So, and I don't mean that, right? But you definitely need both. And I think it's funny too. Like, you can't use one, man. You really have to be. If you're doing this game, you got to play both. And there's other platforms out there too. A lot of other selling platforms out there that you can find deals because what happens if there's the platforms, the sellers will get bored, right? Like my slabs, right? They get bored on there. They've had it posted for a long time. Player makes a move. Like if you were to pick up Bridgewater and went into my slabs today, you probably would have gotten a good deal on him. You made an offer because he's new.
So I don't know if it's like this on StarStock, but on ComC, I will notice that some people go on there and they just want to offload. And I could tell because I'll see a couple listings and they always have the lowest price and they are priced to sell. And that's one thing I like about ComC that I don't know if StarStock offers. When I see someone that is $5 or $8 less than the second highest person for the same quality card, and I'm like, that's a deal. I want to look at their entire inventory. I don't want to just stop at that card. I want to see let me clean house. I want to see everything you got. So I'll click on their username and I'll buy 5 or 6 cards or more, knowing that this is a person that is looking to put their cards up and just liquidate at a attractive price right now versus waiting for an appreciated or amount in the future.
I'm laughing, Brad, because I'm that guy. I mean, I've been using ComC for like 5 or 6 years. And when we used to send them up there, the goal was price them the low as you can. And I would tell my kids, just accept offers. I don't care. It's junk cards to us. And there was this one guy, I think his account was Raffy or something like that. And I swear to God, every time he would just get a whole bunch and send me these half offers, 50% offers, right? But he'd take out my entire stock. So I started responding back at like 52%, right? Just added a few. He'd always accept it. Every now and then I'd go up a few more points. But yes, there are tons of people like that. I have a friend who rips cards and always looking for the autos and the valuable cards. Everything else gets packed away and pushed to ComC and StarStock, and he has his friend just sell on there. So you're absolutely right, man. You can definitely make a living if you know how to ask those deals, work the system. I accept offers all the time. I'm not selling on ComC at a profit.
Well, let's see that I'm definitely selling. That's a good one, JJ. That's good. I'm definitely selling on ComC as a profit, and I want to show you this because I have a good amount in my ComC credit. So I got like $9,000.
Why don't you tell everybody why you don't want to cash that out?
Well, so here's the dilemma. And you see here, like I have a good amount of inventory and a good amount of sales. So I mean, like it's been good. I've sold 1,400. I've been buying a lot, but now I'm scaling up. But regardless, I don't want to take this out.
And that's in 1 year, correct?
This is about 1 year. Yes, correct.
Awesome.
So this would be $940 roughly that they would take out, and I think it would be tied to taxes as well when they give me the money. And I'm like, man, this kind of sucks. $940 plus is they're already making their 5% cut per sale plus the upload fee and whatever. And so, like fees are important because that's how a business operates. They need to make their money. But so what I'm going to do, I'll let you go for it, Ziggy. Then I'll share. Go for it.
You got to go after big cards.
I'm going to get them
and negotiate with the buyer. I hate to say this, but reach out to the buyer and say, "Hey, I'll make up. I'm going to give you a big amount because I want the card." You could launder that money in card.
Well, what I'm going to do
is take it out in card. Don't take it out in cash. You're absolutely right.
Sure. Well, so here's the thing. I'm waiting for the NBA season to end or for teams to get eliminated because there's a lot of good rookie cards on ComC, and I think they're getting a decent amount of graded cards back. So even PSA 9s, some PSA 10s, even if they're not cards that I'm buying low, but I know I could get out at cost, then I know that I'm at least saving on the fees. And here's the thing, living in Southern California where the cards shows are like, there's like 2 shows per weekend now, right? Like it's insane. So I won't have problem selling. But if you're using ComC, this is what I'm saying. If you're using ComC and you don't want to take out your store credit, at least consider looking at higher end cards that you can get off season or during a lull, and then you can get in person and then sell at least at cost, but hopefully in a couple weeks or a couple months at a profit. Because now it's the profit plus not paying the fees plus a cash transaction locally or however else. But I also know that, man, $9,400 is kind of a lot. So I got to get to it.
That's a fun problem to have.
Yeah, it's a good problem to have. Yeah.
I will say, again, if you were in StarStock with that, you could actually buy sealed wax, which I think is even really cool. You could buy a couple boxes of Prism and sit on that for a few months and watch that stuff just grow.
Or you could just cash it out for no fee.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. Well, right. I mean, look. StarStock's doing a great job. They introduced the 25-cent fee, which 25 cents in 2021 in sports cards is like zero, right? Even 50 cents though is like, oh my God, we're talking about something less than $1 in 2021 in sports cards. Yeah, it doesn't really matter. The cash out, the 10% is a lot. So I gotta say, I wish that didn't exist because they're already making their money off of all the transactions.
StarStock's 5%.
5%. Is it 5%? Okay.
5% transaction fee. There's no fee to cash out.
Yeah. Well, unless you use PayPal, and then PayPal hits you.
Okay. So
you got the PayPal fee, but you can just have them send you a check.
Yes, exactly. It's not StarStock. It's a PayPal thing.
Yeah.
I agree.
But seriously, like it's one of those things where either way, you don't want to be
exactly right, man.
You got to try and get out. So I mean, look, they're doing their thing. I knew it was 10% going in. And now they know that I'm going to try and buy higher end cards, get them shipped to me, and then sell locally. And that's just my job of being a savvy investor, wanting to save money and do it that way. Because why would you give up $940 if you don't have to?
I think the local show tactic is brilliant because $35 to set up a table, and then you could just do cash transactions all day long. Or, if you had like a Square app or something on your phone, that's very minimal still. That's a lot lower than that 10% cash out fee.
Another thing,
Mhm.
you've seen the blowout cash out, right?
Oh God! I mean, it's not good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
I thought that was going to be a big bonus because I say you could buy like a couple of cases of a freaking Prism or something.
Here's why. Because I remember looking at it where I'm looking at the screen right now. Redeem your store credit for gift certificates to buy wax boxes and cases from Blowout Cards. So you look at it and think, oh my God, that's great. They have a partnership with Blowout Cards so that you can redeem it here and not get charged 10%. But when you do the conversion, it's basically the same. Like it's like, oh, $100 store credit would be like $94 at Blowout Cards. And I'm like, okay, so I don't even get 1-to-1 even. It's like almost, I just get penalized less. But I'm also paying retail for sealed wax, which
by pre-sale.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah.
I mean, it's one option. Like you could buy pre-sale of cases that, and Prism might be hard, but you get select pre-sale. You can get, optic pre-sale.
However, that's also dependent on if Blowout Cards is cheaper or as cheap as Steel City or somewhere else. Because if they're pre-sale,
they will beat them. They'll match them, and do they know who you are, Brad? I mean, if you tell them it's Comeback Card Investor and he wants to buy a case, dude, they will make it happen. And if you don't believe me, I actually know the guy, and I will tell him. I said, look, Comeback Card Investor wants to get pre-orders of products at a fair price.
Damn it.
And you have him on your show, man. I mean, come on. Negotiate.
Hey, I've reached out to Steel City and no one got back to me. So I'm like, man.
I would just say this. If I had 9,000 in credit, I'm not saying that. I would rather, though, buy sealed wax from Blowout than I would buy cards off of ComC.
Okay.
Because we all know sealed wax has a great value. And especially, like, for example, sealed football, I'm getting dizzy. Pre-order a case of Prism right now. Pre-order a case of Prism right now. I'm not kidding. Pre-order a case. Oh, my God. It's going to be a great year in Prism.
Well, I mean, Prism football is not going to be out for a while, though.
Prism draft will be out in a few weeks, which is going to blow your mind. And I'm not a fan of draft, but that stuff's going to be like fire because of Lawrence and the whole class. And then you're going to have you don't understand. It's this whole Lawrence thing, NFT. It's the big flare in the sky saying football season's here. 2021 rookie is here.
Yeah.
I will say here's another thing I want to point out, guys. Tomorrow, first off the line, Panini, they're doing last year's class. Okay, last year's class. Flawless box starting at $10,000. The floor is $3,500. I only want to say that because next year, if you listen to this video, it's going to be worse. The floor will be 10 grand next year on that box of Flawless Football 2021, 2022.
Very likely. Yeah. Well, it's really interesting because we have a lot of things going on, right? Like I feel everyone's looking at what's going up, but there's a lot of reasons to believe that. I don't know. I'd be a bit hesitant because I don't like just following everything going up when we have NFL NFTs and we have summer and vacations and all that stuff. So I'm very curious to see how summer will pan out because I'm hoping there's going to be another window to buy football. I did my calendar where I'm trying to think maybe after the draft, NBA playoffs really start picking up. Summer vacation, like please let there be one more window to get football because we haven't seen low prices. We haven't seen low prices. We've seen some prices stay the same, others just go up.
I don't think in fact, if I think about last year, what we kind of had was this hype. You had hype build up, and where the dip came was in the first few weeks after non-performance, or we started seeing what the players were. Like Luck had a lot of hype, but after a few weeks, like this kid's crap, right? And then he's dead. Minshew, another one, a lot of hype. And then, just fell apart. So what I would tell you, I don't think there's a low. I think right now you're going to see a lot of hype going in the season because you have this big rookie class. You have a lot of activity over the summer. Where you'll see a dip is in probably the first 3 or 4 weeks of the NFL season. You'll see a dip in players.
Oh, Andy, what's your take with this? Do you think there's
I mean, we saw a big dip in October November, and then the end of November it started picking up again.
Okay.
I think that with the new market and the continuation building in sports cards, I think we're going to see our new dip in football. Maybe a little one in May, June, but I think it's more likely, like what Ziggy said, it's going to be October.
But
October is going to be your time.
well, I mean, look, I see it like last year. It wasn't October, November for just football. It was that for everything. So
Well, there was
that
a different
like
year because of COVID return.
yeah.
When we're
Well, election. We also had an election, so it was like a
we're
lot
gonna
of
get back to more normal this year, I think, and that's what, you know what I'm saying. I'm just saying I think you'll see. And this is gonna be a fun season too. Like another thing I'll point out, you're gonna see highs and lows. Like if you're in July, if we were to mark all the RPAs or all the Prism rookies of all the quarterbacks going into the season, some of these guys are gonna dive like rocks. Some of them are gonna freaking skyrocket like no tomorrow. And here's another thing too, with what's coming out in the product, like the select product that's out right now. And someone just made a comment. They're worried about print runs. I'm disgusted with print runs. Print runs are going to be disgusting. They're going to print like there's no tomorrow. Like Panini's laughing. If you look at Select, there's so much color in that product. They're giving the people what they want. And it's kind of like, remember the French queen who said, give them all cake, let them eat cake? That's what Panini's basically saying. Hey, you guys want silver?
queen.
We're giving you guys as much as you want. And that's what's happening. So you're going to see a lot of color, a lot of products in retail. It's going to be frenzy, man. So a lot of, and I'll be long on it, but you can make a lot of money in the short.
Well, that's why I don't even want to touch new product. That's why I'm like, it's just too much unknown. It's unknown on the players. It's unknown on new sets, but it's also unknown in supply.
You do it short. If you wait, you're right. But my point is, if you buy Prism today, if I could lock in Prism football prices today and get a pre-sale, I know I will make money when the product releases for the first 2 or 3 months. I don't care if they come out with a print run of a bazillion. The first few weeks, that stuff will sell like fire. Okay. So my point is there's plenty of money people are going to make, and that's just a good product. They'll make the same money in Illusions, in Draft, in every product this year. And there's so many people who love football. Again, it's the American sport. It really.
So all right. So the question is, look, is football at all going to drop between now and preseason? Because you assume preseason, it's happening. The only thing I could think of is late May, 3 weeks. All right, Ziggy? Right?
Yeah, you know what it is. Injuries.
Okay.
Preseason injuries. There's lots of little dips, but overall, in fact, I'll tell you this. I actually think football will hold the hobby up overall because I think the hobby will have decline. The basketball class is not the same. It's not as strong. The prices are too high. Baseball not as popular. I think football is going to be the sport in 2021, 2022 in the hobby.
Well, I would say it definitely has the most potential for regional growth because I think this would be the year that a lot of the fantasy football people that were intrigued by it last year start actually using their knowledge for it. So that it's the biggest fantasy sport I know of. I believe it's bigger than fantasy baseball and fantasy, I don't know, whatever other fantasy exists. So I see that there. I'm still intrigued, and I'll get Andy. I want to get your take if you see if there's another opportunity and maybe specific players that you think are low right now compared to others. But I'm looking for late May to early June as the one time that basketball and baseball and everything else might take over before any training camp news, rookies reporting to camp actually happens. That's going to be the last window because July 8th, I believe, is when rookies report to camp, and that's when I expect a lot of that to start coming up. But hopefully basketball playoffs will take a lot of that and travel and actually being able to enjoy summer will take some of the steam away from football. So if you're looking to buy, I guess between now and that time, I don't know if there's going to be a time after that. Any thoughts there, Andy?
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, there's a huge pool of players in the NFL, right? And a huge pool of skill position players. And someone alluded to it earlier in a comment. We really haven't seen a cool off here after the season. There's been a lot of hype and continuation. There's been that postseason reflection and looking back and like, oh, that guy was actually good, you know. And so we're all talking about who was actually good last year. And then you have the free agency trades and signings. That's affected prices, and now the draft and implications of that has affected prices in an upward trend this whole time on a lot of guys. So I think there's got to be some kind of cool off coming here in May, June. like you said, Brad, people are spending a little bit more on experiences. You also got hockey starting up. You got NBA playoffs, MLB going on. So I think there is going to be a little bit of distraction. Clearly, I'll still be, buying where I see buy low or just guys that I believe in long term, skill position guys from the 2020 class or even, 2017, 2018, what have you, that I just find that at good prices that I've seen from last year that I made money on. I'm going to go back to that well and tap into it again.
Nice. Yeah. I mean, same here. It's just looking for distractions. And so I'm hoping that's the time for distractions. It's been about an hour 10. I feel like there's so much more we could talk about, but we can keep going for hours and hours. What are some final?
You gotta make it come back for more, right?
Yeah, of course, man. We'll always have you back on. What's some final takes you have with right now in the hobby as of it being April 20th? I don't know what month it is. Whatever. April 28th, 2021 at this moment, Ziggy.
Man, I'd say I'm just high on the hobby. It's a great time. It's still fun. There's a lot going on. Like I said, I think football is going to be huge this year. There's a lot of activity still going on. I mean, I'm still skeptical, but I still love it. There's just so much opportunity, guys. And I'll say keep an eye on NFTs. Whether you love them or hate them, they can be the engine that fuels your cards, right? And I think you're going to see, like I said, collectors aren't in NFTs yet. If collectors get into it, it really is going to take off. Because if they start geeking out on how they can build sets and see what's been hit and stuff, it's going to be sky's the limit. Also, I'm excited with all the new grading options that are coming out, right? I know we've been waiting for PSA, but there's a lot of new options. I'm interested to see how that's going to impact. Like, for example, HGA and football and those custom slabs, that could have a lot of value in this market space, right? So, for example, I'm looking at maybe slabbing up some rookies with some of these different slab companies, right? And getting them on the market faster. Because to me, I don't like selling raw cards because I don't want someone complaining to me that I didn't disclose something. I'd rather have a third party, ComC, StarStock, ABC grading, somebody else put a score on it and let the buyer buy that. I want to trust a third party, say, Ziggy's got a card. Here's the condition. Do you want to buy it? It's a StarStock B. It's a ComC with scratches. So I think that's going to be a big area to make money, guys. There's a lot of room to play in the grading world.
And I will say this is the sophomore year for a lot of these startup companies too. So it's like they're getting a bit of credibility. The HGAs, the StarStocks, this is year 2 for them because it's so new that at least I think the credibility is starting to build among people that are more skeptical. And, hey, I think they're just going to list cards that don't exist, or they're going to steal my money, or they're going to be out overnight. And at least that's getting resolved. Andy, what's your takeaway?
My takeaway from the whole, I appreciate you having me on, Brad. It's been a pleasure. I'm really excited about the draft tomorrow. I don't think we're going to see as many trade ups as we have seen in previous years. But I do think that the Patriots are going to figure out a way to trade up and get one of those big name QBs. So watch out for that.
Knowing the Patriots, you guys
go live tomorrow afterwards, maybe do a post draft.
Someone asked in the comment section if probably you, Andy, if you were going live. So I don't know if you have that scheduled.
I do not, but hey, it sounds like there's some demand for it, and I'm open to it. So that sounds fun.
I think it'd be awesome to do it like a post game, like around 11 o'clock. Talk about the top 5 or so. Talk about card prices. Maybe we check some card prices before and can do some graphs after the fact. Would be kind of fun. I'd love to do that, guys.
Well, I'll get the coffee going at 9 then.
And I don't have to go to bed early because the target world's changed on Friday mornings. Oh, by the way, real quickly, if you've been watching this long, let me tell you the whole target thing. All you gotta do is hit a lot of different targets on one day, right? So I've got a target map I made where I've been hitting 7 targets on Friday.
Well, it's the only day, right? It's the only day you need to actually prioritize.
The target thing is even better. Mike Ham, who's one of my favorite guys out in the chat listening, love his stuff. We'll talk later on. Flip and Steve, love your stuff as well. And I want to say hi. Thank you guys for all the support.
Awesome. Very cool stuff. And remember for the draft tomorrow, look at the Falcons, not drafting or not drafting QB. Look at the Patriots. Look at Washington. And was there another team that we mentioned that
Dallas? If Dallas picks a playmaker or makes a move early on, everybody loves Dallas.
They're
they
getting
pick
defensive player.
more.
They're going to get the first defensive player off the
If they
board, no
pick
doubt.
defense, that's boring though. I'm just telling you, because CeeDee Lamb was fun to chase because he's a cowboy.
Yeah. So
I'm just
They
saying.
need defense so bad, though. You know how
If
bad
they-
Jerry Jones wants to win.
I agree, but if they pick Kyle Pitts up, ooh,
Nah,
all right.
they're getting it. They're getting a defensive player. They're getting Micah Parsons or Patrick Surtain, one of those
I hope
guys.
not. Hope not.
All right. Well, just keep an eye on this for tomorrow night. Teams drafting quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers, and perhaps tight ends in the first round. And then what complementary players will be helped and hurt from that. Just think of it that way and see what's underpriced. And good luck to you tomorrow if that is your strategy. And good luck to whatever team you root for. Thanks so much for joining us. Make sure to check out ZiggyNo's channel as well as Andy's, the Fantasy Football Card Quest channel for more. I know Ziggy puts out content daily, or still daily, right? Still
Absolutely, like an
And
addict.
Andy, you've been on like a daily tear. So a lot of great stuff coming out.
Yeah, man.
And have a great night and a great weekend, y'all.